here we're going to kind of dive right into the value of tiny wins. A lot of times everybody always wants to think, hey, I'm going to start something new, 0 to 100 real quick and just try to blow everything out of proportion. When in reality, yeah, it's great to have big dreams, big goals and everything and aspirations you want to achieve, but you got to break that stuff down. You're not going to be able to, what is the old saying, build Rome in a day type of a thing. I don't know if I'm showing my age already with that. Yeah, we're going to dive into the value of how to break things down, why to break things down, and just kind of some examples of what we've done personally to be able to break things down, both for ourselves and building our practice and everything that we've done from a family perspective, as well as with our clients and patients and what we utilize with them.
Absolutely. And I think this is an area that I actually have to work on personally a lot. Something you remind me often is try to eat an elephant one bite at a time. I am somebody who is
I think my
that
dad
I,
absolutely
I
love it.
I can, but I am somebody who by nature wants to go 0 to 100 and do all of the things. And if I'm going to commit to something, I'm going all in. And I think that is a super great characteristic of mine. It makes me really driven and really good at my job. It also has its faults, like when I don't stick to a workout routine in the way that I want to. I want results right away that I'm not always getting. And so this is a lesson that I've had to learn time and time again and something that we see in the office. And so we thought it'd be fun to bring to you guys.
Yeah, it's all about balance. And as you mentioned that, I think we balance each other out really well. Miss speed limits or recommendation. In the beginning, just to kind of dive into it a little bit as to like why those micro wins and that kind of stems from the fact it can be very disheartening. Do you set that big lofty goal, go for a week, you're putting in all sorts of effort and everything, and naturally after 1 week, you don't achieve that goal, whether it's a performance thing, a business thing, a personal thing, what have you. It takes time. And when you just set that end goal as that final destination, there's a whole lot of time in between there. And it can just take a mental toll on you of just getting through that monotony, the minutia of everything to be able to get to that point. So to help bridge that gap, you need to start to fall in love with the process. And to be able to help understand what the process is and to be able to make that big goal achievable, you got to break that down. And so, at least for me, the breakdown aspect goes from what is the end goal of whatever that is. That is going to be the result of all of the subsequent individual little pieces that are done on a monthly, a weekly, and a daily basis.
Yeah. And I think what you just said, like about falling in love with the process, I think that part is huge. I think so many of us have our eyes set on what we want the result to be. And that's when I think a lot of people run into burnout of just wanting to be at that destination right now, or especially like in your field with wanting, a scale to read X, Y, or Z, or to have X, Y, or Z physique or whatever. And then they're always starting a diet on Monday because they're not falling in love with the actual process of eating well or taking care of their body or how they feel when they wake up in the morning, that all these things are what build on top of each other to get to those end results, that they're just so focused on what the scale says, how their clothes fit, that they can't enjoy the process. And so then they fall off the bandwagon and they have to do it again. It's always starting over. And really these micro wins should all pile on top of each other to get you to your result. And then you can have another goal and you can keep going and building. And you never want to stop doing it because you actually fall in love with it, as opposed to just always hitting the restart button, because then you're getting nowhere.
Yeah. And it's those subsequent steps of everything that help give you that kind of dopamine hit of, yes, I did achieve this. I know I'm getting closer to attaining my goal. So from my perspective, kind of two scenarios and situations that pop up that you were mentioning. One being weight, whether you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, what have you. That pesky number on the scale, God bless it. So many people just get all caught up on it. But that number changes based on the actions that you're doing. And those actions are things that you're going to be able to more definitively track and monitor. Did I make sure that I had a fruit or vegetable at each meal? Did I make sure that I got my protein in? Did I make sure that I did something movement wise for my body each day? Those are the things that are going to be able to nudge that scale. We need to focus more on what are those individual steps and tasks that push that end goal. That's what we need to make sure that everybody doesn't lose sight of and helps to track. If it's a scale goal, those types of little daily wins can be big things to help maintain that momentum, maintain that positivity, and maintain just kind of that overall guidance and check-in aspect of things to know, am I on the right track? Am I doing things? And if we're true and honest with ourselves and reevaluate that of, you know what, I didn't really go for that walk. I have been kind of skipping out the workouts type of a thing. I have been ordering out a whole lot more than kind of preparing some food on my own type of a thing. When we're honest with ourselves, it's going to be able to help maintain that accountability piece. But by, again, breaking it down to what are those individual things, we can better track that, we can better monitor it, and we can better definitively quantify, are we progressing one day at a time? You can shoot for, by X, I want to achieve this, but don't hold yourself and have that set in stone necessarily. It, again, is going to be that daily task type of thing. So that's a weight perspective. Another perspective is if working with somebody and we got a soccer player, they want to play in the Premier League. Huge goal, great goal. Right now, you are playing perhaps in USL or MLS here in the States. Not that either of those leagues are bad, but if that's your end goal and you want to go play in the Premier League, you need to be good where you're currently at. If you're not taking every training session, every match as an opportunity to be able to showcase and improve yourself, you're not going to get there. And it's also not going to happen on day one type of a thing. Not only because it's going to take time to be able to build that kind of, I don't know, highlight reel aspect of things, but also just straight up, there's transfer market windows. Like there will be some limitations aspect of things. So it's taking that process, understanding what opportunities you have here and now, and leaning into that.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that we're not to like toot our own horns, but like we're really good at working with our clients and patients to kind of figure out like what is your objective and then helping you create those steps to what are we tracking? Like, I mean, most people, right, have a job. And so they're really familiar with KPIs, which is stuff we track as business owners, just like the little things that all add up to tell us like, what is the health of your business or how are you performing at your job? But like, you need these KPIs or indicators. Did you did you show up to training? Did you do the recovery session after training? What are you doing for your nervous system? These little pieces are going to vary person to person, and they're really going to vary depending on your goals and your lifestyle and the time that you're able to put into these things. But I think that's something that we do really well as a practice is that we can actually get to know our clients and then figure out what actually meets their lifestyle, meets their needs, and it's going to get them closer to those goals. And then we have these little micro things that we can track along the way, and we can, help you celebrate them because that is a big piece of why these micro wins matter. We need to get that excitement, that celebrating all the way along the journey of going from where you're at now to where you hit the goal in order to kind of keep their momentum going and make that continue to be a part of what you actually really enjoy and it becomes part of your lifestyle.
For sure. And so to be able to help kind of have some of those wins and things like that, you also want to find a way that works for you to kind of track some of those things. You want to be able to, again, it kind of comes back to that self accountability piece. If you do have a way to be able to hold yourself accountable in whatever manner that is to kind of track, these are those KPIs, these are those daily tasks or goals or weekly tasks and goals that I am asking of myself, knowing what that end goal is. We want to be able to monitor and track that. And again, it allows us to then be able to reevaluate of, okay, I know I want to get here. I know in the past 2 days, I remember doing everything, but what did I do 3, 4, 8 days ago? Have I been consistent with everything? And so that's where, again, it comes to taking time for yourself to figure out what works best for you. You will always know yourself better than anybody else. What works best for me, as an example, I am a huge fan of actually writing stuff down, actual journal. So the one that I have is set up to where it'll provide the monthly outlook, a weekly outlook, and then a daily outlook. In each of those time periods, I try to set up specific targets, specific goals on what I'm trying to achieve, whether that be personally, from a physical standpoint, family aspect of things, a work standpoint, what have you, I write that down. And then once I get that big picture of what it is that I'm really trying to achieve, then I figure out what are those action steps to be able to help continue to progress there. And then as I go through each day, kind of check it off. How'd we do? Did I do it? Did I not? And if I didn't, cool. Let's do it again. And if I didn't do it, maybe not as cool, but why? What happened? Sometimes there's a reasonable justification for it. Other times, maybe I forgot it. Maybe I just didn't feel like it, which sometimes happens. But I got to hold myself accountable and be like, okay, we didn't do it. Now tomorrow, we just need to make that little pivot and get right back to it.
Yeah. And I would say, like, to me, the idea of a paper calendar planner sounds so great. And I've tried several in the past. The ones that I have used and have done well with, I've actually really liked the Clever Fox planners because they give you dedicated spaces to write out your daily and weekly to-do list and kind of those like lifestyle habits that you want to work on. And they have sections in the planner that help you break your goals down into smaller pieces and into those, actionable bites or KPIs, whatever we want to call them, so that you can usually track them. But for me, I already carry around so much stuff every day. One additional thing to carry is just not working for me in this season of life. And so I have actually really enjoyed using the app that we have for the nutrition side of our practice and using that as a way to be like, okay, this is how many cups of water I've had. This is the movement I did today that's syncing from my Apple Health or my Whoop. And really just allowing all of my data points to kind of be together and then putting my workouts or things that I'm doing on as tasks or events on my calendar and then making sure I know, okay, this is when I'm supposed to go and do it. It's in there just like a meeting that I have for anything else. People say it all the time, like schedule your self-care, your workout as a meeting, but like actually put it on your calendar. And those things have been more helpful for me. And so it just kind of goes to show there's many different systems of how you can track your wins or how you can track the things that you're up to. And they don't have to be limited to the two ways that Jay and I are doing it. I think that that's another thing that we're great at in practice is helping people find a system that works for them so that they can see their progress, track their progress, and celebrate it along the way.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is now with all the different technologies and stuff out there as well, you don't necessarily have to go and purchase anything because I at least know on an iPad, if you have an iPad or what have you type of a thing, in the notes section or wherever it is, I think it's notes, but there's built in kind of journals and trackers and things like that. There's free apps. There's a whole lot of different stuff that you can utilize to be able to help with that. And so, yeah, it again is just kind of figuring out what works best for you to be able to monitor all those things. And then as you continue to check those boxes, especially for those daily habits, then it's something that gets to the point to where you don't even have to think about it anymore. It's an absolute default and you feel weird if you don't do it. It's like when you leave the house, phone, keys, wallet, you just check it. You do the quick pocket check of everything, make sure it's there. Or as soon as you step out, if you know you don't have it, you immediately feel like something's off. I don't know quite what it is, but I'm forgetting something. That's what these habits are going to eventually become. It takes time, absolutely. But that's what that accountability piece and that regular tracking is to be able to help build, is to get that component.
And I think truly once it becomes habitual, like you're saying, I feel like that's when the momentum really starts to build. So that's when you're like, okay, well, I am always going to start my day by exercising, or I'm always going to start my day by meditating, or whatever it is that it becomes so habitual to you that the results just happen naturally and they all start building on top of each other. And if you pause 60, 90 days down the road and truly do a reflection on where you're at that moment from where you started, I think you could honestly say to yourself, like, wow, I have changed in X, Y, and Z ways. And it's oftentimes in more ways than just the way that you originally started out with. I wanted to change the scale or I wanted to change how my body felt. There's so many different ways that you're going to change over that time. And if you just keep doing it and embracing that lifestyle, then it's just going to keep rippling and you're going to see, results as you go.
And I think you touched on pretty cool parts where there's a lot of things that'll likely happen along the way that you also didn't prepare for, like from a fun aspect of things. Like you're going to achieve different things that you didn't even anticipate. And it's just establishing that routine and just kind of that, I was going to use the word culture, but just like that mentality of how you go about your day to day, it's just going to be like a magnet and start to attract and pull in different things. So while you've got that one goal going, who's to say you don't got like 18 little side goals that just kind of pop up and come towards you as well? And so it starts to ingrain again that once you get into that routine and start to build upon that, you can apply it for just about anything.
Yeah. And I think that, and one of the ways like this has been really apparent in our life, I think is like just building our business. Like we started off because we wanted to create a service that didn't exist. We were like, if we were the client or the patient, this is how we would want to be treated. And we would want to be able to bring this kind of elite experience to the average person and be able to continue to treat the, elite and professional athletes in our community. And when we started off, we had no aspiration for like, we want to have like a big brick and mortar office. Maybe we want to have more locations. We want to have staff. Like, what? No, none of those were ever things we ever wanted to do. We just wanted to practice in a way that felt aligned with ourselves. And we showed up day after day and we studied and practiced our craft and poured our heart into our work. And here we are 4 years later, and our practice looks completely different, but for the better. And I think that also showed up in our lifestyle. It's changed how we treat our bodies. It's changed how, our friends, our mentors, the people in our lives. And so this is kind of just to show that even just making one tiny change of saying like, I want to change the number on the scale, it can have so many effects in so many parts of your life if you allow it to. And so that's kind of what I would encourage you, if you're watching this and are thinking, what do I do next? Maybe you're not building a business, maybe you don't care what scale says, but there's some goal of some sort that you're working on. And so I would just say, one, don't be limited by the one goal that you've set for yourself. Allow all of the changes to come as you're going through the process. And two, I would say really try and break that goal down into as many smaller pieces as you can. What do you need to be doing on a regular basis to try and get yourself to that goal and make it to the point, like we talked about, being habitual and just what normal and part of your life looks like.
I think that would be a great way to just end all of this. So we can cut this out, like tweak and shift that around. But one thing I wanted to touch on that you kind of mentioned there was the fact that you said we didn't have the intention of having a brick and mortar, of bringing on staff. I wouldn't say that it was necessarily we didn't have the intention as much as it was we just had that relatively singular goal of assisting people from the manner in which that we had been wanting to be assisted ourselves, to be able to bring them to people. Whatever transpired after that, to be able to deliver that, we were open to. And that has just kind of subsequently taken the shape and the form of we moved to Bridge Park. We opened that brick and mortar. We do have staff. We're expanding to be able to provide those services to more people, have that bigger reach, but it all stems from that overarching goal of what are we trying to achieve? And then it's just kind of keeping those options open of, are there additional ways we can do that? Are there better ways that we can do that? And things like that. So it all, again, just kind of comes back to the daily process of what, for us to break that down, what do we need to be providing to be able to assist the individuals that we're currently working with? And what do we need to be doing to be able to stay ahead of things, to be able to make sure that we can continue to provide those services? So setting those more quantitative goals while also keeping yourself open to understanding there's going to be additional opportunities that do present themselves, and just kind of keeping an eye out for that, if that makes sense.
Totally. And I think you're right. It wasn't so much that like it wasn't a goal of ours as much as it was the primary goal at that time was like help people, show up and help people. As we were saying before, if you just start doing and live, like make this part of your life, other things will come to you, other ideas and other goals. And I think that's very much where we are as individuals, as people, as family, as business owners. We're just in this state of expansion where things keep coming our way. And it's not so much thinking like, could we or should we? It's like, great, how can we do it? Taking all of these fundamentals that we've built over the years, which that is really what this is all about. This is really starting from, small fundamentals. And if you can do this with one goal, then you can do this with any goal, no matter how big it is. And so I think that's just the biggest thing for people to take away is it is so important to celebrate along the way, but just break your goals down, make them part of your lifestyle, and just kind of let the magic happen. It's really cool to see what can occur from just doing the simple things over and over again.
And when you say the simple things, it's things that you break down to become simple. It
Right.
may seem big, but yet you just keep rocking and rolling with it. So yeah, as it really just starts to storm like no other outside. I don't know if that's coming through audio wise, but yeah, I think that was a great point and kind of great way to kind of wrap things up.
That's great. Well, for anyone who watched this, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us, leave a comment below. We hope this was helpful and we can't wait to bring you more helpful videos.
More of whatever this is.
More.
Thank you guys for everything. If you have feedback, questions, don't hesitate, reach out, hit us up.
Awesome.